Should have. That'll be good.
Blackman Parish Council, September the 24th, 2020. Council meeting is now called to order at 7:20 p.m. Roll call, please. Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present. We'll move to item 1A.
The Plaquemines Parish Council sitting as the Board of Review. The following are the oil and gas appeals. Connecticut Midstream Energy, number C 626-676, High Point Gathering, C 626129. Logo Operating has the following: C 004320, C 004340, C 014785, C 016710, C 019100, C 613799, C 613800, C 613802, C 614042, C 614485, C 614568, C 616239, C 616402, C 616403, C 616404, C 617116, C 617687, C 617693, C 618134, C 619991. The following are for Palm Energy Offshore LLC, C 004600, C 014776. SEI Operating, C 618139. Southern Oil of Louisiana, C 600510. The following are for Texas Petroleum Investment Company, C 014625, C 019600, and C 615821. Arrowhead Gulf Pipeline has the following: C 626168, C 623658, C 367242, C 623659, C 257965, and Chalmette Louisiana Liquids, C 620263.
Thank you. Is there any council members who would like to take any item out?
I'll be present, but not voting on any of those.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Please. Ms. Assessor? Ms. Belinda Haydell.
Take that mask off so I can be heard. Yes, my name is Belinda Hazel, and I'm the assessor in Plaquemines Parish, and it's good to be here. I appreciate you sitting as the Board of Review. I'm going to read a few comments into the record, and I want to introduce, before I do that, my real estate supervisor, who's also here with me, Sarah Taylor. And I also want to comment on the use of our maps. Thanks. I'm so glad that the public is using them as well as the council. They are not to be used to determine title, but they're a work in progress, and we're happy that people are going to our maps to see what's going on. And you're absolutely right. There's a big old disclaimer up front that says that they're not to be used to determine ownership. Under Louisiana law, the assessor is responsible for listing and assessing all taxable property within his or her parish at fair market value. The responsibility includes a duty to ensure that all taxable property is properly valued and assessed in accordance with Louisiana law and Louisiana Tax Commission rules and regulations. There are many deadlines and requirements in the property tax appeal process for both the assessor and the taxpayer. Tonight's Board of Review hearing is one of those requirements. Every assessment under appeal must be reviewed by the local Board of Review. As parish council members, you are serving today in your capacity as the Plaquemines Parish Board of Review. If either the taxpayer or the assessor is dissatisfied at the end of the hearing, either one may appeal to the Louisiana Tax Commission. This first group of appeals before you tonight are the oil and gas properties. Those were the ones just read. There are 8 different taxpayers involved and 35 assessments. The values were derived by the assessor with the aid of field audit information provided by Visual Lease Services and in accordance with the Louisiana Tax Commission's rules and regulations. The assessor properly advertised the dates of public exposure and provided the required notification to taxpayers whose assessments included omitted property. The tax roll has been made available for review for a 15-day required public exposure period. Please note, assessments are presumed to be correct. By law, it is the taxpayer who has the burden of proving otherwise. In the past years, those taxpayers appealing oil and gas properties have waived their right to testify orally based on the following standard agreement, which I will read into the record regarding the oil and gas pending appeals. The standing agreement is as follows. In regards to the presentation of evidence, it is the assessor's position that if a taxpayer has timely and properly followed the procedure for filing an appeal with the Board of Review in accordance with the Louisiana Revised Statutes and the Louisiana Tax Commission rules and regulations, and the taxpayer chooses to waive its opportunity to be heard orally at the Board of Review hearing, the waiver will not prejudice the taxpayer's right to appeal to the Board of Review's decision to the Louisiana Tax Commission or to present evidence to the Louisiana Tax Commission. You all are going to roll through everything before we vote on oil and gas. Is that correct?
Just read through all of them.
Just read, she read through.
You read through.
She's already read through. She's already read through. All of gas. And then they'll do the residential separate.
So I couldn't hear you beginning. I'm sorry.
They'll just do the residential separate.
Okay, so you're going to vote on the oil and gas now? All right, very good.
We need a motion, she
The
said.
administration has some recommendations.
I don't believe there's anyone here from the oil and gas companies.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, at this time, ask if there's any of the oil and gas taxpayers here that want to present orally. If not, if there's any public comment. If not, then it would be appropriate to move forward with a motion to act on them in globo.
Any comments from the table? Audience?
I'd like to know what the administration position is.
Is there any recommendation from the administration?
No.
So we can move forward.
Just for the record, there's no one from the oil and gas industry here to,
So do she have to?
okay. And is there anyone outside who may not have been in here because of the? Yeah, please make an announcement out there just to make sure.
Need a motion, Carlton?
Yes.
You gonna make it, you want me to make it?
Please you.
Somebody, anybody?
I could offer it. I'll offer it.
So we have a motion by Mr. Blank, seconded by Dr. Gouy.
And to be clear, it's a resolution to accept the praise the assessors.
Yeah.
Right.
You're denying the appeal.
Non-appeal.
You're essentially voting to deny the appeal.
Yes, I'm asking you to uphold our values.
Right.
No one from oil and gas.
Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 7-4, 2 abstain. Residential, please.
All right. The real estate property appeals,
Oh, do she have to read them?
Yes.
Read them first, yeah.
Michael J. Vogt has several. 1601412, 1069825, 105770, 2620961, Buras Lodging, 1177,600. Wilson Hildebrand, 1075300. Kerry Lincoln, 1267950. Briar Patch, 1616545. Suburban Gun Rod and Motor Club, 1490200. Delta Southern Resource, 1427900 and 1265675. Brian Capone, 2290255. And Mr. Chairman, I do have one email to read.
Please.
This email is from Mr. Wilson Hildebrand, 116 Pie Street, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Council members and review board, I'm sorry I cannot be present to discuss my assessment on my house. At the recommendation of my physician, I have been advised to be exposed to as few people as possible due to underlying health conditions. I purchased my home at the sheriff's auction in 1996 for $48,000. That works out to about $48 per square foot. The assessor now wants to value the same house with only 980 square footage total at $150 per square foot. I believe it should be valued at $109 per square foot, as that is the average price per square foot in my neighborhood, as indicated in the packet supplied to the board. Please see comparable neighborhood in Belle Chase area dollar per square foot prices also included in the packet, as that information will also show over the assessment of my home. Thank you for your consideration, and I do have a handout for another one.
I'll go ahead and then get up. The real estate property appeals before you tonight are a direct result of changes made to the assessed values in this year's statewide mandated reassessment. Real estate properties are revalued only every 4 years, and it always causes a bit of a stir. Our task in reassessment is to bring the values from the prior reassessment to fair market value, whether that be up or down or flat. Fair market value is defined in the law governing ad valorem taxation as the price for property which would be agreed upon between a willing buyer and a willing and informed seller under usual and ordinary circumstances. It shall be the highest price estimated in terms of money which property will bring if exposed for sale on the open market, with reasonable time allowed to find a purchaser who is buying with knowledge of all uses and purposes to which the property is best adapted and for which it can be legally used. So, mandated reassessment of real property results in changes in values. Assessors do not determine the timing of the reassessment. The Tax Commission does. Assessors do not set values. Assessors reflect values. Sales are used to value land. Sales are used to value houses. Cost and sales are used to value commercial and industrial properties. The cost data used to value commercial and industrial properties is the cost data available through a nationally recognized cost data service called Marshall Valuation Services. The same company also publishes a cost service for residential property called Marshall and Swift Residential Cost Service. The reason our office and other assessors use Marshall and Valuation Services in part is because the Louisiana Tax Commission uses Marshall Valuation Services, and the Louisiana Tax Commission is tasked with doing annual ratio studies on our office to test the validity of our values. Values must be within 10% of market, one way or the other. So this reassessment year, we refined our commercial property data, adding property classes and carefully reviewing classes that were already in the books, and using Marshall and Valuation Services, and also using that to update base cost. Along those same lines, for 2020, a hard look was taken at manufactured home data, and as a result, a change made to the life expectancy of manufactured homes. The data collected, our data, more than supports the longer life expectancy. In addition, Marshall Valuation Services, the same cost source just discussed at length, was used to update 2020 base costs for the manufactured homes. Our tax roll consists of over 19,000 parcels, including real and personal property. Reassessment is done with broad brushstrokes using mass appraisal techniques. Mass appraisal techniques differ from an independent fee appraisal technique because the properties are appraised as a group, not one by one. Mass appraisal is used not only because of the large number of parcels, but most importantly, it is used to establish uniformity. Uniformity is the key to fair and equitable reassessments. And I'm going to turn it over to the taxpayers that are ready to testify. Thank you.
Got it. Is there any questions from the table?
I have one. All of the appeals were filed on a timely basis?
Yes, you all are the Board of Review, to my knowledge.
Yes, sir.
That's a question, please.
Mrs. Hazel? Are issues like the viability of the National Flood Insurance Program and things of that nature taken into consideration when some of the assessments are done? You know, for instance, I represent about 1/3 of the Jesup Bend community. Those folks are going to be facing higher costs and things of that nature, higher insurance, with the possibility of flooding. And I'm sure all these things are taken into consideration.
They're taken into consideration in that we group like properties, and so if you're in Jesuit Bend, you're affected by those things, and we're comparing you to other Jesuit Bend properties, and so that would be reflected in the value that's paid.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Any more questions from the table?
And I have one more thing to do before I'm already walking off with the evidence that I'm going to submit that's part of this.
The audience? Do the board members like to take any issue? Okay.
Hello again, my name is Michael Vogt, I'm from Belchase. I was a Louisiana licensed consumer lender for over 17 years, a realtor for over 32 years, a real estate broker on my 21st year, so I'm pretty familiar with how real estate and appraisals work. And not to disrespect anyone, I'd like to repeat revised statute 472321, of which she did state, that is the fair market value. The fair market value of property which is agreed upon between a willing informed buyer and a willing informed seller under usual and ordinary circumstances. It is not comparable as something that has actually sold. You can only tell the fair market value of a property when it's actually sold. So you can't go back on a property that's been sold 20 years ago and use a value today, as well as you can't go back on a property that sold 20 years ago that's been reassessed every 4 years to come up with this artificial figure today as a comp for another property. Because there's the cloning error. Every time you reassess a property and you use that assessed property for this assessed value here, there's a cloning error, and over, and especially properties that were sold 20 years ago. Also, there's a reason that something is called a comp. A comp is a comparable item. You have a 2-bedroom, 1,500 square foot duplex. You can't compare wood frame on piers, 60 years old. You can't use a 4-bedroom, a 4-unit, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, brick on a slab with carports that's 25 years old as a comparable. It's just not that animal. And the reason why they can't use that, and the rules from the Louisiana Real Estate Commission on comps is they don't allow single line adjustments. And when I'm going to talk about single line adjustments is they take two properties that are almost the same and they take the things that are just slightly different. And one could be 1,200 square foot, one could be 1,400 square foot. The 1,400 square foot is going to be worth a little more if they're in the same condition because of the square footage. So that's an adjustment line. It could be the condition of the property. You might have one property that's in excellent condition. You might have another property that's in poor condition. So there's going to be an adjustment there on the condition of the property, even if they're the exact same house. Of course, the size of the lot's going to be different. The age of the property, a property that's built 60 years ago can have terracotta drain pipes in it, where a new property is going to have PVC lines. Well, it doesn't sound like to the ordinary person that's a big difference in value, but the terracotta lawns are not going to survive, and that owner is going to be tunneling under their house, spending tens of thousands of dollars redoing that if they haven't done that already. That goes for water lines that could be made out of copper, PEC, galvanized. If you have an older house that has galvanized water lines, they're going to corrode. You're going to have your whole house water lines done. They can't handle the freeze where PEC lines can. So a house built in the 1960s has no insulation in the walls. Some don't have insulation in the roof. They got 12-2 without a ground. So it all affects the value of the house on age. So you can't compare a 60-year-old house with a 25-year-old house. They got to be comps. And the problem that we have here is the reason why the comps have to be so much alike is because the Louisiana Real Estate Commission doesn't allow a single line adjustment to be more than 10%, or the combined total of them added up to be more than 25% of the value of the property. So when you're taking a fourplex and comparing it with a duplex, or when you're taking a property that's in a neighborhood in Fort St. Leon, number 2 subdivision, and comparing it on a 70 by 120 lot, you can't compare that to the same house, the same size, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, whatever, 800 square foot, sitting on an 1.5 acre lot. Because a cleared 1.5 acre lot or a cleared acre lot in the Belle Chase area code with utilities to it is worth over $150,000, where the lot in Fort St. Leon, number 2, is worth $50,000. Well, on a $120,000 house, that $90,000 difference is an 80% change. It's not allowed by the Real Estate Commission rules and regulations. So that is not a comp. If you have no properties like that property that sold, that means that property could not find a ready, willing, and able buyer and a ready, willing, and able seller to communicate and agree on a price, so the price has not changed. Just because every 4 years an assessor can change a price doesn't mean she shall change a price. Some don't change. Just wanted to get to that before we get to each one of my properties. Y'all should have the information because it was emailed to y'all.
Yeah, 15 seconds left, please.
Well, I should get at least that time for each property.
Carl, this is a public hearing on his appeal.
Oh,
not a
okay.
Public comment period.
All right.
The first property y'all have listed by the assessor would be 113 Delta Street. That's assessment bill number 1601412. And I've questioned the assessor, and she sent me the comps that she used to get these values. And I think y'all have the breakdown on there. Also shows the value which actual properties that actual sold, and using the adjustments on these properties. The one issue on this that I have made a mistake on, where it's asking for the fair market value on the rebuttal form, and I put the assessed value, not the fair market value, so it needs to add a 0 to that. But it also shows the difference on that one, which isn't much of a difference on this. But the one of the properties was an example that I was telling you that she used a comp that was on over an acre property with a subdivision lot that was worth only $50,000. When you look at the property value alone, her assessed value, you could not use the comps that she used. But I did provide some comps. They were a little older, but they were more accurate. And the difference was an assessed value from $12,992 to an assessed value of $11,500. Not much difference on that one. Going to the next one, tax bill assessment 1069825. This is the one that she's only found one comp that sold. The subject property is a small wood frame, 1,452 square foot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath each side. It has window unit air conditions. It's 60 years old. There have been no sales of any properties like this in the last 10 years. And she used a brick building on a slab, central air conditioned, fourplex, with carports as a comp that was less than half its age. And just to give you an example on a drastic price difference on this, a central air condition, 4 central air conditions, minimum value $6,000 each. That's $24,000 right there alone. Compared to a window unit, it just can't. It's not a comp. this property, I also putting on, for a change of what she's using on venue, which was only about a $10,000 difference also. It's not that drastic, but it's there. It is. I mean, and these 4 properties that I'm rebutting or whatever, this is the ones that had the unjustifiable changes in them. My other several dozen properties and all, I let them go with it because it could be justified. Going back to the next one, which is tax bill assessed 105-7700, 104 Theta Street. This, I guess the biggest issue with this was the land value. When you have a house sitting on 2 lots, the 2 lots aren't the value of the 2 lots sold separately because they can only be used as one, so it's called an oversized lot. I went in and pulled some comps on other oversized lots, and I gave y'all a breakdown on the value on that also. The improvements on the property, this is also a property that's over 60 years old, and she was using newer brick houses. You can't use brick houses for sided houses. It's just not the same animal. But I did give y'all a breakdown to show a broker price opinion on here where I pulled actual sales, not just houses that's been reassessed and reassessed and reassessed using as comps. I pulled actual sales that sold and broke down the comps for you to get a more accurate value on that. Last but not least, I want to bring up, in 2007, I bought a mobile home for $1,000 that was 25 years old when I bought it. It's a single wide. You can't even get financing on these in Plaquemines Parish anymore. They won't finance, no lender will lend money on a single wide trailer. She has this property increasing in value at $1,000 a year. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'd love to invest in automobiles and movables that increase by $1,000 a year because I'd start investing in mobile homes. Automobiles depreciate. Mobile homes are like an automobile. They depreciate in value. They don't appreciate in value. But aside from that, I also presented every mobile home that I can find. And now this mobile home's 36, 37 years old. I also presented every mobile home that I can find that was for sale that was over 25 years old. So still 10 years younger than the one that I have. And the most expensive one that I can find was $5,000. I found some down to $600, and I eliminated some because they wasn't quite the same condition. So I gave the benefit of the doubt for her. But still coming up, the average value of this is $3,500, and there is an error on mine because I put on the top, I put the assessed value, and then on a requested value, I put the actual value instead of the assessed value. So it's $3,500 would be the actual value. The assessed value would only be $350, and that's still $2,500 more than I paid for it more than 20 years ago on something that depreciates in value. So yeah, I got a good deal then, but not that good a deal since if I could sell that for $12,000, I would be buying these every day and flipping these and selling them. It just doesn't exist. You can't get $12,000 for a 34-year-old single wide 750 to 800 square foot mobile home. It just doesn't exist. So that's the big part. You have, not only did I just give you in your presentations my over 30 years of professional experience in this on 2 fields, one being a real estate broker, one being a licensed consumer lender, that I actually underwrote loans, I actually graded appraisals for the company. I actually gave you true comps and that you can actually look at and see, and gave you a broker price opinion where the computer actually averages it out and comes with the figure where it's just not somebody throwing a figure on there. So that's just asking y'all for a fair shake on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's that?
Any comments from the table?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm still.
Yeah, I have a question. You know, we've never been confronted, at least I've never been confronted sitting on a body of review with these type of appeals. I mean, we've always,
Yeah.
I'm talking. I've never been confronted with these type of appeals. This is the first time in my history of being around that we've had this type of appeal situation. So I'm not sure what the process is, and I mean, I don't know if there's a rebuttal from the assessor, but, I mean, I looked at the paperwork, you know, and he makes a good argument.
Yep. Under the tax assessment process, any taxpayer, business or a residential, can appeal, challenge the assessment, and then they get a public hearing before the Board of Review, and it's a hearing on the issue. So you can hear from the assessor's response to what he provided, then ultimately, it's y'all's decision to raise the assessment, lower the assessment, or keep the assessment the way it was listed by the assessor. And then if either party disagrees with the decision of this board, they can then appeal on to the Louisiana Tax Commission. But this is just one of the
I
functions of
see
the
some of
parish
these
government.
discrepancies are minor, in my opinion, and I thought that perhaps they could have worked that out with the assessor's office before having to come here. I mean, when you're talking about $1,000 or something like that. But anyway,
Done 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I had some assessment issues on other properties, not necessarily these. And it was worked out with the assessor, and I think 2 of them couldn't be worked out with the assessor, and it actually went to the state came back in my favor. But this year, they didn't do that. This year, I sent it to the assessor.
okay, well, you're not at the mic, so we're not hearing you. But, you know, but anyway, I'll yield to the assessor's office.
Is it, let me do a slideshow. Good evening. My name is Sarah Taylor. I've been with the assessor's office for about 10 years in the real estate department. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present my evidence of value on these specific assessments. We're all familiar with having our homes appraised for various reasons, whether it be for refinance or a new purchase. Keep in mind what I am doing and what we're doing at the assessor's office is not an individual appraisal. We're charged with making sure that the entire population of Plaquemines Parish is within an appropriate range of valuations so that we can properly assess all of our residents for the purpose of fair tax collection. It is not an individual appraisal. When you consider the values tonight, please keep in mind our goal is to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and uniformly. That's the answer to why we wouldn't just change one person because you're complaining. We're trying to stay uniform. I'll try to be brief, but there is a lot of information. That said, I'll illustrate a quick snapshot of the mass appraisal process. This is a small neighborhood of only about 40 residences in the north end of the parish. You can see there's a lot of information and an overwhelming amount of numbers. Once we organize the spreadsheet to fit into this format, we review all of the sales that have occurred within our time frame. Those are highlighted. Whoop. How did we go out of order? I guess it was moving along. Okay. Those are highlighted in orange. We determine a range of both total sales price and the price per square foot. Those are 2 different ways in which we analyze the values. We then determine the estimated price per square foot for the land and structure separately and apply those figures to the entire neighborhood. We do this for every area throughout the parish. Moving on, I'm going to review the individual properties. Starting with 113 Delta Street, which is a single-family residence, an assessed value of $129,920 or $169 a square foot. As you can see, the house has a substantial garage. That higher price per square foot is attributable to the garage. The range of sales in this area is $130,000 to $299,000 on the high end. I want to point out that the $130,000 sale was an estate sale. And all of these sales are taken from Fort St. Leon number 2, which are assumed to be similar in age to Mr. Boat's properties. The total estimated value of Delta is below the lowest sales price and which wouldn't be considered a comparable sale. I'd also like to point out that even with the value of the garage, the estimated value for 113 Delta per square foot is still within the range that we're required to be in by the state. In response to the suggested adjustments, As we mentioned, this is mass appraisal. So we don't have the luxury of all that specific data all the time, such as bedroom count, bathroom count, piping, things like that. The value applied to the garage is approximately $15,000. If there were no garage, we would be same value as Mr. Vogt. Considering the size and configuration of the garage, it should not be ignored. That's our evidence on Delta. Moving on to Beta Street. Beta Street is a duplex off Barrier Road. It's approximately 1,400 square feet with an assessed value of $138,520 or $95 per square foot. These are the duplex sales that we have within the last several years. You can see that the lowest one is $155,000. I'll point out that both of the top 115 Park and 113 Park are similar in size to Mr. Vogt's property. You'll notice that the assessed value of $138,000 is lower than $155,000. Lastly, on this assessment, the reported insurance value is $125,000. We don't typically look at insurance, but it was provided in the appeal process. So it's insured for $125,000, whereas the structure value is only $77,000 on this. Keep in mind you have to take the land out because you wouldn't insure the land. So that's our evidence on Beta Street. 104 Theta Street is a single-family home situated on a double lot. It's valued at $226,830. The important thing to remember when considering this assessment is that it is located on a double lot on the corner of Barrier and Theta. The site is approximately 19,600 square feet versus the typical lots in the area being between 8,000 and 9,000 square feet. The site is valued at $90,160 or $4.60 a square foot. As I mentioned, we determine a value for the land and the improvements separately. In this area, the range of sales for lots are between $5.52, which is a larger lot you can see, and it's sold for $100,000. You can see our value of $4.60 is below the lowest sales price of vacant land in the area. Same sales because it's in the same area. Considering the value of $226,830, you can see that we're still within that range. Both the median and mean price, which is the average price in the area, is $230,000. The median is $245,000. He's below that. Again, I'd also like to mention that the structure is insured for $168,000. The value we have for the structure alone is $136,000. 108 C train. As this information is going to come into play a couple of times, I'm going to ask for a little bit of extra time on this one. This is a 35-year-old manufactured home valued at approximately $10 a square foot. The 2020 tax bill is estimated to be about $65. The last available rental data was reported by the owner to be $800 a month. During this reassessment year, we adjusted our estimated cost new and our total life for manufactured home. For those reasons, manufactured homes experienced an increase during reassessment. Our estimated value per square foot new is $40. This was obtained, or we came up with that from both Marshall and Swift. They suggested a fair quality 800 square foot base cost of manufactured homes to be $40.75. This figure did not include air conditioning, flooring, appliances, or skirting. Additionally, the Manufactured Housing Institute reported the average sales price in 2018 was $78,500 or $54.59 a square foot. In 2014, these numbers were $65,300 or $45.41 per square foot. Obviously, the costs and values are increasing. We also analyzed market data in our office. We basically took resales of manufactured homes, extracted the land, and came up with a median and a mean sales price between $40 and $45 per square foot. The typical life of a manufactured home is estimated to be 35. Manufactured homes are obviously being occupied significantly longer than before. For example, 108 C-Train is a 35-year-old manufactured home. Marshall and Swift also recommended a typical life of up to 40 years, and research suggests that people are retaining these longer and longer. On our tax roll alone, there are over 100 manufactured homes that are over 40 years old. If you take Katrina and Isaac into consideration, that number is significant and indicative of the fact that these are withstanding the elements. That's my vote.
Is there any question from the table from Ms. Taylor? Audience? Thank you for your report.
I think we should go.
Guess we could start in reverse with the mobile home that you had up there. I think doing a construction value on a mobile home, which is a movable, which is like an automobile, reiterate again that mobile homes do not increase in value. It's never have, never was. The assessed value clearly states the assessed value is 10% of the fair market value. And the Real Estate Commission has a definition for fair market value, and that's what something will actually sell for. So when she's coming up and giving these figures of $60,000 and $70,000 for mobile homes, that's really unjust because that's new mobile homes. This is, like she said, it has an estimated lifespan of 35 years, and it's 35 years old, and she's going to put a $12,000 value on it. It's just, I mean, if it was $12,000, people would be selling them. The reason why they're not selling them is because they're not worth $12,000. I did ask them for all the comps. You can't blanket every house in a neighborhood. That would be saying that the mobile home at the end of my street, if the average value, because it's a mobile home on my street in Fort St. Leon number 2, that would be the same value per square foot as my house because it's blanketed in the same area. The reason why we have this for these appeals is because you can't blanket. Everybody's not the same. Everybody's house isn't the same. You can't blanket them all the same. So in order to fix the few properties, to give an example, 104 Theta Street is the oldest house in Fort St. Leon number 2, was built in 1959. The second to oldest house built in Fort St. Leon number 2 would be 103 Beta Street, and the third oldest house would be 113 Delta Street. Those 3 properties. So yes, they cannot compare to the other ones, which are newer houses that were built 10, 15, 20 years later. You can't blanket them all. You have that's the purpose of this hearing, to fix the few problems of the few houses that don't fit into blanketing everybody the same. If we were all the same, how boring would this be? And works the same on properties. You just can't put a set price on all of them. Oh, it's the average. Look at this. These are the 3 oldest houses in the neighborhood. So that means they are definitely can't compare to a house that's 20 years old that she's trying to compare to. That's all I want to say on that.
Thank you, Mr. Vogt.
I'm gonna get up on each one. The what? They're gonna keep coming up on each one. You can probably comment on every single one.
Rob Forche, 116 New Street. My only statement here is going to be, we're in need of money in this parish, right? I mean, the administration would love to have quite a bit more in the budget. We have a lot of mobile homes in this parish. What I would ask from the assessor's office is, has all of the mobile homes in this parish been assessed as a blanket assessment? Because I'm going to venture to say, from looking at their website, they have not. So with that being said, I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you. Any more comments?
In the mass appraisal, one thing we do is everything is a class. So acres are not compared to residential lots. Manufactured homes are not compared to single-family residences. Those types of parcels are assessed similarly, uniformly, whatever class you fit into. And as I said, the land is valued one way and the building is valued another way. And that's why we do that. So if you're looking at our website and you see that a manufactured home on the East Bank is valued at this total market value, but a manufactured home in Belchase, the actual manufactured home should be the same value because it's a similar classification. The land will be valued differently. What people don't always have all the information, which is the square footage could be different, the quality. If it's a FEMA trailer, that could be a little bit different. And also the year. People typically don't know the year. And that's the effective life of the trailer. We didn't increase the value, we extended the life, which slows the depreciation just like a car, because people are keeping them longer and they are made better than they were before. That would be my response to that. Anything else?
No more public comment. Carlton? Ready? All right, members,
Mr. Danny?
if there's no other person for public comment who hasn't already spoken, and the appellant
think we
has
have
already
some.
had his.
We have anybody else want to speak?
Can we ask Mr. Forshey
No, I'm just talking about on this appeal, Mr. Voigt's appeal.
Well, she read them all.
Okay. Y'all can hear them all and then vote on them, or you could vote on them individually.
Okay, entertain a motion to either raise, lower, or keep his appraised value as is. Anybody would like to make a motion?
So you would be lowering it or raising it to what he requests, or to keep hers?
You have the authority to increase it, 'cause nobody ever comes and says, please increase it. You have the authority to decrease it to what he's requested, or you can vote to keep the assessor's value.
And just so everyone understands, there's another appeal level above you all. So
Right.
you are an intermediary, make a determination, and then regardless of what you all rule, either party, both the assessor and the property owner, have the right to appeal to the tax commission.
Yeah, to the Louisiana Tax Commission. Then after that, there's actually a judicial appeal if you disagree with the tax commission.
And he said earlier that he appealed last year or last 4 years ago, and they ruled in your favor?
Half of it ruled in my favor, half didn't, the half that didn't went to the state ruled in my
Y'all gotta do something.
Okay,
just going to say that Mr. Vogt did not formally appeal last year, but we asked the tax commission to go out, or 4 years ago, in the prior reassessment, we asked the tax commission to go out to his house to look at some of his properties because we had such a difficult time trying to resolve the issues. So there was no appeal last year. The tax commission didn't rule in his favor. We asked the tax commission to look at his houses, and whatever number they came up with was we would put there.
I think he's saying 4 years ago.
4 years ago, the last reassessment. I just wanted to clarify that. And we can, yes, we of course are asking you to uphold the value.
I make a motion to stay at the value.
okay, we have a motion to uphold the assessor appraisal. We have a motion by Mr. Conovich. Seconded by Dr. Gui. That's just dealing with
Mr. Voigt.
Mr. Vogt's property. Item 36, 37, 38, and 39. Any comments from the table? Audience? Machines are open,
No, he's already.
and this is just to uphold the assessor appraisal.
Uphold.
And the measure passes 7-4, 1 nay, and 1 abstain.
Just didn't get there quickly enough. Can I do a verbal? Do a verbal no, please.
Is there any other property owner that want to come and comment?
It might make sense, Mr. Chairman, to just go down the list of order. Maybe perhaps anyone from Beerus Lodging. Is anyone here from Beerus Lodging, Inc.?
Come in now.
I'm with Bureau's Lodging. My name is Vikash. It's a hotel, motel, modular buildings up in Bureau's, Louisiana. My only concern is my assessed value this year has been increased by 40%. I don't know where that number is coming from. It's 40% increase from what it was assessed last year. So I'd like to appeal that. I'd like to put the note 40% increase. Thank you.
Do we have anybody from the assessor office? Ms. Taylor?
As he said, Bureau's Lodging is, it's a fishing lodge. It consists of, the improvements are 25 manufactured homes. They increase as a result of the reasons that you just heard regarding the manufactured homes. So he had 25 of those. The property was purchased in 2014 for $525,000. It's currently on the tax roll for $282,920. It's also come to our attention that this property is set to be available for auction by the end of the month. The value will be reviewed at the conclusion of the auction. That's what we have to say. Ask you to uphold the values. We'll review them again once the auction is complete.
Sarah, a comp would have been the Delta Marina, which just sold for, what was it, 700,000? With 20 modular homes on stilts, very similar.
Okay.
I mean, is that just, what was?
That could be a comp, yes. If it's, how many modular homes did you say?
I think it's 20 and those are elevated, so it's slightly different but the same.
And modular is a little bit different than manufactured, but we won't get into all that, but yes.
Got it. You know, I've spoken, with the individual in the past, and it's been kind of hard for his business to make it here lately. It's the oil and gas industry isn't doing well. I think recreational fishing has kind of shifted away from something like that over to maybe more of the all-inclusive fishing lodges, that kind of thing. Each individual unit has to have flood insurance, so each individual manufacturer, little units that he has its own flood insurance policy on them. In addition to this government charging him per connection for water, to have water service, which there may be mosquito control on each one of those individual connections by the end of this meeting. So the cost of operating something like that, are those things reflected in that assessment?
We do market value, so we analyze sales. In this situation, it's unique because he does have 25 manufactured homes. So because we adjusted for the reasons that we had, which I think we have enough support and of the why we changed the manufactured homes, that's why he incurred the level of increase that he did. It's just take one little bit of an increase and multiply it times 25. So we do market and cost primarily. His land was not adjusted because we understand what's going on. But as we said, manufactured homes is a class of property, and those were blanketly reassessed in that manner.
Thank you. Understood.
So, I'm sorry. Any other question? I was just going to say, in the interest of fairness, we ought to allow the property owner one rebuttal since if he so chooses, so that we can treat everyone fairly. Does the property owner have a rebuttal?
I have appraised value as well at this moment, if they'd like to take that into consideration.
Certainly, if we can.
Said he has an appraised value. Of what? Is it a document or?
My property, the property of a motel.
I can't understand. Can you speak in the mic a little clearer and a little louder?
I have a appraised value of my property motel currently, if He'll take that into consideration.
Okay.
Does he need to put that in the record, or? How mu,
What,
he's gotta put that in.
was it submitted with your appeal?
I'm sorry?
Was the document submitted with your appeal?
No, not yet, no.
What's up?
Are you wanting to submit one today to the board?
Sure.
Okay. You can hand it to the chairman.
I don't have it dark paper printed out, I can email it.
Well,
Then unfortunately, I don't think it can be considered.
I mean, he can testify to what it is, but.
I mean, you can, right. You can verbally state what the report says, but
Sure. Ms. Sarah said it was around 282
So are you talking about what
viewers. Yeah,
Okay.
282, then
here. So
it's at 220 at this moment. Appraised value in July this year. 220,000.
okay. Do you have any other further comments?
No.
Okay.
And just
Public comment?
The-
Is there any public comment?
Just for clarity, one of the comparables, one of the comps used was the Delta Marina that has 20 docks in front of it and fuel pumps, and it went for about $175,000 more or so.
Yeah.
I don't have, I'm actively using your map. But anyway, I mean, is that was a comparable, whereas this one is landlocked and it
To keep the record clear, Ms. Taylor, would you mind coming up, speaking in the microphone?
I'm sorry, I don't want to, if I'm not supposed to stand back here, let me know and I'll move back. But otherwise, I can just stand here. I am not sure of the sale that you're speaking of right now, but I will look it up. Just to be clear, his adjustment is basically based on the manufactured homes adjustment that we did. So I will look at that. I did speak with the owner since he filed his appeal and explained to him that we reviewed it and made an adjustment. He does understand the process, and he understands, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, based on our phone call, that he just wants the opportunity to appeal to the Louisiana Tax Commission if it doesn't sell at the auction. So I think I'm right? Okay, he's okay if we uphold us, and then
That'll get him to-
we're going to review it again if it does not sell at the auction, and then he will appeal to the Louisiana Tax Commission.
Okay, good.
I would.
I would like to entertain a motion that we
Mr.
uphold.
Chairman, public comment first.
Is there any public comment?
We didn't do public comment on this issue.
We did him.
You
Is
did-
there any other comments on the Bears Lodging?
I would like to say just one more thing. After reviewing the assessor's map here, the Empire Inn, which this gentleman owns, was purchased for $525,000 in 2014, and the Delta Marina was just purchased in the last year and a half or so for $625,000. That facility has bulkheaded waterfronts, diesel pumps, a back down ramp, et cetera. And I believe this
But
gentleman.
it wasn't appraised against the Delta Marina.
Anyway, I believe this gentleman deserves a chance to appeal higher than just us. Sure.
Okay, would like to entertain a motion to uphold the assessor appraisal. We have a motion by Mr. Conovich, seconded by Dr. Gui. Any questions from the table? Audience, machines are open. And the message passes 7-1.
You wanted to go.
Okay, we move to item
41.
41. Is anyone here for Mr. Wilson Hildenbrand?
No, sir, he was not able to be here. His comments were read into the record.
Okay, thank you. Anyone for Carrie Lincoln?
Well, you need to have her, you need to go ahead and vote on Hildebrand since you're doing them in property owner.
We're gonna do them one at a time?
Oh, yeah,
Well, because that's what you were doing.
that's what we've been doing. So I think we need to give the assessor an opportunity to rebut
Mr. Hildebrand.
the email that was.
Well, why don't we just do the ones that's here to speak on their property, and we'll do all the rest in global?
That's an
That's
option,
fine,
yes, sir.
whatever you, that's fine.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to dispute the assessment of your property? Please come to the mic, sir.
That's good, yeah.
Any one of y'all come to the mic, please.
No in order. Hildebrand, Lincoln, Briar Patch.
Please state your name, address, and what property you're disputing.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. My name is Yule C. Potts III. I live at 7804 Breakwater Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm the manager of Briar Patch Investments LLC. I provided you all with a folder of a lot of paperwork. It appears to be a lot, but it's really not as much as you may think. But I do hope that you've had a chance maybe to look at it. If not, please do take a look at it. What it represents and the order that I have it in there is, first off, is my appeal is loose in the very front of the folder. The second item that's in there is a picture that was put up on July 4th or July 1st, frankly, our latest effort to try and sell the property. And as you can see, we are willing to take an offer of any sort on the property. We've had the property since 2002. We acquired the property from Citrus Land Company in the very beginning of the development. My partner and I thought this was going to be a great idea, and to have waterfront property, we thought that we'd probably be able to make a few nickels over the years on that, and that really hasn't turned out to be the case. And I'll give you a little bit of history as to what's gone on with the property. We paid right at $200,000, I think $198,500 for the 4 lots. There are 4 lots all together on St. Rosalie. And if you look at the picture, you can see we have a rough survey of the property on that picture for your looking at that. Come 2005, of course, the Hurricane Katrina came. In 2002, when all those lots were sold by Citrus Land Company, they were sold within about 3 days. What a great deal that was for Citrus Land. They made more money than they could see straight there. And as a result of making that money, and I've gotten this from people that were involved with Citrus Land, they decided to go ahead and move forward and do the second phase of that subdivision, which was on the upper side, if you will, of the Wilkinson Canal.
Phase 2.
Sir?
Phase 2.
Yes, sir, Phase 2. And I do have a hearing deficit, so if I ask to repeat something, it's because I can't hear worth a hoot. And these hearing aids don't particularly help that well. So, but nonetheless, so yes, Phase 2 got built right away, right immediately after the sale of all those lots. And, of course, then Hurricane Katrina came. Things have changed there significantly. And I think that you'll see and acknowledge that the sales there have not maybe been quite as good as they had all expected. In 2009, Citrus Land decided to sell all of their lots to an entity entitled Myrtle Grove Waterfront Properties, LLC, owned by a known family business that owns those properties. And that was in 2009. The general public probably wasn't aware of that, but nonetheless, and certainly we were not aware of that. But in 2016, my partner and I decided that this is really was not a good investment. It's not looking good. Sales there were really not very good. Nothing was really being developed, and we decided to try and sell the property. At that point, we listed it, and there's a copy of the listing agreement that's in there that was with a local company, as it turns out, one of the owners that acquired all the properties in 2009. We didn't know that. We listed it in March for 1 year. We listed it at $55,000 for the little regular lots, and we had a corner lot there. We listed it at $58,000 for a whole year. Nothing. We never got any offer, no nothing. At some point towards the end of that, I put a call into the agent, whom I knew. I went to school with her brother, and he's also involved with the acquisition of all those properties, I come to find. So nonetheless, at that point, she said, well, we haven't had anything and no one is ready to sign on the line. That was about 3 months prior to our agreement expiring. With all of that, I decided maybe I didn't know what was going on, so I wanted to know how the salespeople were handling the sale of that property. And as it turns out, I had an anonymous caller call and ask for our lots. That anonymous caller was steered to Phase 2 lots, which, of course, at that time, were all owned by that other company that had acquired it from Citrus Land as an investment. When they acquired those lots, when Citrus Land sold them all to that company, the sale occurred in 2009. The company paid over $3 million. It was around $3.7 million for the roughly 100 lots and a strip of land up in the front that ultimately got sold to you all, the parish, for a floodgate
Levy.
Yes, a levy or a gate or whatever it is. But yes, it got sold to you all. Okay, so at that point. I went to the agent and said, okay, we're aware of what you've done. You steered people to your lots, and we therefore were a little bit disenfranchised with the whole situation. 3 months later, we decided that, and I've given you copies of the correspondence that I had via email with that real estate agent in that package there. With that, about 3 months later, we decided, okay, we're going to try with another listing agent, Bonnie Burris, who is a significant realtor down here in the parish, and see her signs everywhere. She's got a reputable business, and we therefore listed it with her. And at that time, we listed it for 9 months, and we listed the regular lots at $47,000 and the corner lot at $51,000, and that was for 9 months. Again, nothing. No sales, no nothing. Towards the end, Bonnie and I were talking, and she wanted to know if we wanted to renew the contract. And again, my correspondence with her is also in that package. At that point, she wanted to know if we wanted to relist with her. And with that, we discussed it. I think what we're going to do is just sit on it or maybe list it ourselves as for sale by owner and just see what we can do. She indicated to us at that time that she recently had sold a couple of lots and wanted to know if we wanted to lower our price. She sold those couple of lots on the next finger, if you will, I believe, or maybe 2 fingers away from us, closer to the deep water and to the marsh for $35,000 apiece. Okay? Two lots right next to each other. Those were sold by Sheriff Turlich, as a matter of fact, to some third party. I believe that they subsequently built on that. Okay, so at that point, she wanted us to lower the price to $35,000. We decided, no, we're going to try and list it ourselves. So in July of 18, or shortly after our contract expired, which was July 18th. Again, copies of that is all there. We decided to put a for sale by owner sign there and see what we could do and see if we could, get something and maybe not have to pay a commission. Well, nothing. We never got very few calls, and it would not move. So come July of last year, I decided, well, maybe what we need to do is to put a more professional sign up, and you've got that picture of the sign there, and maybe what we need to do is try and stir up anything to see what we can do to sell that property. Well, I had gotten no calls until literally, I think it was a week and a half ago. It was shortly after I had gone and met with the assessor's office down here. And, they were very accommodating to meet with me and very pleasant. But their information to me, I don't think was as accurate as maybe it could have been. And so they told us that we were at $6.50 a foot, and if you look at the last page of the packet that you have there, you'll see that there's the paperwork that they provided to us, which maybe was similar to what was just put up on the other presentation. And as it turns out, the lots, and of course I knew that the lots right next to our lots got sold in March right when the corona started, they got sold for $37,500 each. Two lots right next to each other, literally right next to our lots. Now, our lots do not have a bulkhead, okay? The ones next to us had bulkheads. So presumably, there's some value in the bulkheads. Ours do not have the bulkheads. When we bought the property, the engineers that did the development really advised that bulkheads do not be put in, because when you put the bulkhead in, the water right on the other side of the bulkhead is going to be shallower than what it would be if you put a wooden dock with your piling out at the same location where the bulkhead would be, or where you're permitted to put the bulkhead. And I think that they're correct, because when I go to our property now and I check that depth, we do have more depth than where the other bulkhead is that was right next door to us. So nonetheless, we really do not believe that our property is worth what we are currently assessed. We are currently assessed for a value higher than what we paid for the property back in 2002. At some point, I think they may have lowered our assessment $10,000 or so. I really don't remember if the assessment when we first bought the property was exactly what we paid for it, but it's been assessed for some significant period of time at $186,000 for all four of the pieces. Well, of course, when I got the tax bill or the letter from the assessor saying that they're going to increase our taxes, said to myself, how can they be increasing the taxes on our property when certainly they've gone down? We're willing to sell it to any of you all willing to buy it, we'll sell it to you for $37,500 a lot. We'd kiss you if you took it. And so at the end of the day, I believe that what you all ought to do is assess our property at the same value that is the property exactly next to us sold in March. And that's at $37,500 a lot, which is $150,000. We would be satisfied with that, and if I could sell that property for that, I would love it. And we've got that sign up there that says, make an offer. Don't buy a bulkhead that's 20 years old, because if you do buy a bulkhead that's 20 years old, you very likely may have to be replacing it at some point soon. But I do believe that the real estate agents and other people are pushing that, hey, you've already got a bulkhead, you don't have to pay $250 a foot to put a new bulkhead. Well, the people right next to us ended up having to also put a new bulkhead in because one had failed. And that all occurred after I put that sign up there. So that was very coincidental. Our assessment is in the package there. The titles to the properties are also there. The titles when we acquired the property, and if you look at our sale, in that there is showing what the assessment for the entire subdivision was for Citrus Land, and I think they were paying like $20,000 tax for the entire subdivision at that time. And look, I understand that as a developer, you get some relief for having 150 lots that you're going to sell, and generally the assessors and the parish work with them because it's going to be good for the parish down the line. And that's perfectly understandable, and I get it. Now, we bought our property from Citrus Land in 2009 after the property was already developed and all those lots are there. That's when Myrtle Grove Waterfront Properties acquired the property. They paid $3.7 million. If you look at the sale that's there, you'll also see that at that time, the taxes for the entire subdivision for Citrus Land for Phase 2, they were paying around $30-something thousand a year. Okay? So that probably had some bearing on them selling the property to this other company. As it turns out, and I don't know what the assessment was for the property after it was acquired by the company that bought all those 100 lots for the $3.7 million. But if you look at that sale, that transaction then translates to those 100 lots, roughly be $37,000 in 2009 when they bought all those lots. For whatever reason, the taxes currently for all of those lots, they are paying, I believe, $2,000 and change dollars in taxes for the entire 100 lots. So it went from Citrus Lands paying $30,000 to now the current company paying around $2,000 or $2,500 maybe. The assessment is in that sale for them that's in your package right there, okay? And I understand, okay, there's some relief to be given to help a developer, but these people were not the developer. They, like us, bought the land and the lots from Citrus Land as an investment. Them, likewise, I presume, thinking that they're going to do very well with it. Well, they have not done very well with it, as you can imagine. And if you go out there, like I do, to go enjoy fishing and enjoy Plaquemine Parish, you'll see that they are probably suffering pretty good with all of that. But they're not paying any taxes, so they're paying literally $2,500 taxes. We're paying $1,500 or $1,600 taxes since 2002. We've been cutting the grass. We've been paying $600 a month, $600 a year for the 4 lots for the homeowners association. I have not had enough time to really fully investigate all of these things, but if have to, we ultimately will do whatever we got to do. And again, we're not talking about a lot of money that would have meant to us in the change of tax. It's the principle at this point. People ought to be treated fairly across the board. And had the tax stayed where it was, I probably would have just said, okay, here's a check and paid it and keep cutting the grass, which I do, a matter of fact, by myself, since my partner has gotten old and says he's not going to help with that. And we decided not to afford to pay the grass cutting people. So I'm very familiar with the entire situation. I just felt that we needed to do something about it. We need to be treated fairly, and we asked that we get this assessed at the $150,000. We would be happy with that. Now, to back that up just a little bit more, when I did meet with the assessor's office, they pulled out a sheet of paper showing where they were getting all of their comparables, if you will, or their assessments. And of course, this is an easier situation because it's just raw land. Now, the difference is we have no bulkhead. Other people have bulkhead. The common guy that just walks off the street to buy a lot is going to prefer to have a bulkhead, really, unless he's an engineer and doesn't know that the water's going to be deeper, and or that bulkhead, after 20 years, is probably going to need some assistance, just like the ones right next to us got tore out by Edgecombe Construction. And this all occurred, again, within the last month and a half. So one of the issues was, and when they were sitting down and explaining to me how they use their comparables, I happened to look up a couple of their comparables, things that just didn't seem right in my mind, but I didn't have time to fully look at everything. But I did look at the ones from Sheriff Turlich, and if you look on that last page, you'll see where I have written on the left margin, 2 lots. And the one, and if you look at it, the ones that were sold in March, again, 37.5. The Turlich sales, which were in 2018, I think towards the end of 2018, what they're showing there is a value at $6.80 or 6 something a foot, when in truth and in fact, that is 2 lots. It's 2 at that, whatever that figure is, that 7,400 square foot figure. There really were 2 lots there. And so that assessment should be half of that. And again, you look at the Turlich sale, you look at that sale of the lots right next door to us, and there's several others, you'll see that that's a fair price is, in the $4.50 a foot area, around $37,500. Again, we think that would be a reasonable amount. On the sheet there's some other quote comparables from them. Again, I didn't have a chance to look them all up and really look at all of it, but you can see some of those ones that are at the higher price are on the waterway that there will be no further development, so they overlooked that marsh totally, which is on the Timber Canal. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember the name. Timber Canal, one of those recently sold not too long ago, and they're building right there right now. It sold for a significant amount. And of course, that's on the very corner of the subdivision, has absolutely the best view in the whole world overlooking the marsh out there. And nothing will ever be built in front of them. And they've got access where they go 200 yards and they can open up their boat and run out to the fishing grounds and do whatever they do. So with all of that said, I think that You know, I do appreciate that the assessor has a terrible job to have to figure out all these things, and I think they try and do a good job. I just think in this particular situation, our property is worth, you know, we'll go with it, what the property was next to us, even though it had a bulkhead and we don't have a bulkhead. I think it should be assessed at $150,000, and that's what I would ask that you all assess it for. I appreciate your time, and I do want to let you all know that this is the first time in your building here, and I think it's a fabulous, fabulous facility. Now, I don't know whether you can get people to come here that often, but other than that, it's great, and I love the drive down from St. Bernard. Thank you very much.
Hold on. Is there any questions from the table?
Not at this time, I want to hear the assessor say.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm deaf. I couldn't hear who.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Ms. Taylor?
Yeah, this should have been. I agree.
You're right, bro.
Was the exit still if she was
I agree.
Okay, as Mr. Potts said, this is 4 lots, individual lots that are valued at $51,380 each. You combine them all together, that's $205,000. Here are the range of sales in the area. And you can see the individual sales prices in red. They support a value of around $51,000. You always have outliers. There are always people that need to get rid of a sale. There are always people that are selling something higher. Just depends on the market. But as you can see, these sold in the $50,000 range. Our median and mean sales price supports the $6.50 a square foot. It's uniformity. That's what we're trying to preach, fair and uniform.
What's the date on those sales? We don't have the benefit on our screens to be looking at this.
The data sales is that middle column right by the sales price.
I know, but we can't see that from here. I mean, our screens are
Oh, their
not
screen,
working.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. So these sales range, our date, effective date of reassessment is January 1, 2019. So we're required to use sales from July of 2018 through July of 2019. Those are our, if you were to get an appraisal, your appraisal would have to be at the beginning of 2019. Okay, so those are the sales we have. This is a paired sales analysis of 2 sales that both happened this year. They're on the same street. They sold within 1 month of each other on Timber Canal. Actually, the one without bulkhead sold for more per square foot and total price than the one without bulkhead. So I understand his bulkhead situation, but we're trying to be uniform and we don't assess the bulkhead separately. So the paired sales analysis supports there's not an adjustment for that.
I can't see it either.
How much is that?
How much is it? So one of them sold for $50,000 with bulkhead. It was 6,710 square feet. It sold for $7.45 a square foot. The one to the left, yes, sold for $51,750. It did not have bulkhead. It sold for $9.22 a square foot.
You have any idea why he can't sell his property?
Myrtle Grove is a unique creature, and we go through this every reassessment. One, you kind of have to list it with an agent. It just depends on what's going on. People don't drive down there and see for sale signs by owner. So I actually spoke with the Turliches. They sold theirs through Facebook, and it's also on the market now for higher than what the person bought it for.
Can you address the comments about all the other lots being valued at only paying $2,500?
So that would be on the other side. I would have to look at the assessment directly. There are different classifications. There is a developer classification. There is also use value, which is very common in this area, which is set by the
Do you
state.
think his comments are accurate?
I can't say for sure.
Can you look it up?
I don't have, I'm not right here. but I will definitely look it up tomorrow.
If that's accurate, that's disturbing to me. And not only disturbing, but it makes me want to pass a resolution giving him the break that he's asking for, because he's willing to go to 150.
Can you speak into the microphone so I can hear?
I said, if your comments are accurate, it's disturbing to me, and that if that is the case, I'm interested in moving towards giving you the relief that you're looking for.
9 o'clock. May I make a
You
couple?
missed that part. That might go all the way up.
I'm not sure I heard everything, but, and this is a perfect example right here. Those lots that are at 922 a square foot and 745 a square foot are out on the timber canal.
Sir,
Those are the lots that are very.
Get to the mic, please.
sir, can I please have the address? I'm actually
That's a
trying to
great
review
point. You're
these
right. I ought
charts.
to be in the mic as well. So
Sir,
those
before you-
lots,
before you
those lots that she's showing right
Sir,
there.
1 second. If you give him the address or something, he's going to look it up, and
Some
we're
of
going
these
to,
lots.
we're going to view it.
Yeah, if you look on the last sheet of my thing, it's got the addresses on that.
You don't know the address?
I don't know the address, no, sir.
Okay.
They're not houses there either.
115.
These are vacant lots right here that she's showing without a bulkhead selling for more. And let me tell you why they're selling for more.
They're on the main canal.
They're on the timber canal, and the bulkhead that is there are the boulders that were put there by Pontchartrain Material in the development of the subdivision. Those boulders are there. They run all along that whole canal. Pontchartrain Materials put them there in 2000, George Douglas's company. As a matter of fact, George Douglas delivered some gravel to our camp that's out in the marsh out there. Okay? And so that's why I'm familiar that those boulders are what's there. And so those have sold for that kind of money because they have a view that'll never go away. They're not going to be looking at the back of whatever's built on my property or the front of what's built on someone else's property. They have a view of the marsh forever and ever, and they're right there. They can run their boats at full speed in the canal that's right there going towards Wood Park, but they do have to go slow for a few hundred yards till they get to where Terry White's property is there at the end of the main canal at the Wilkinson. So that's why those were there. And then again, if you look at my sheet, and of course, does all of this get put into the record as evidence so that when we go to the tax commission, if that ever has to happen, is that there? So this stuff that's on their computer is going to be included in that? Yes. Okay, great. So if you could, if you go back to her sheet, and I can't do it,
The
but
listing of all the
you could
properties.
go to your sheet that had the listing of the things. So I don't know if that is exactly the same thing that I've got, but what I've got is what they gave me when I went and sat there. And so when I look at the that sale down 4 from the bottom that says 1616501 70,000 Junior Lane, that was in July. That's Turlich's property. They now have it corrected. They got the size corrected here. And I guess they got the amount corrected too, because I think it shows a different amount on your sheet. I have it right here, excuse me. It was corrected. So when I met with them and they were telling me that, I am where I should be, I didn't have any of this information, and that was one of the items that they showed to me. And of course, after looking at that, the 70, they had it shown as 7851 feet. And so that was at what, $8.92 a foot? When in truth and in fact, that was 2 lots, 35,000 each, and double that 7851. So half that that 892, which is right at about, I'm gonna call it 445 or 450, which is right around where I think the property ought to be valued. That's what I think it's worth. That's what I'm asking that you all assess it at. And I think that if you consider all of the things that I brought up here, we ought to be being treated fairly. Again, we bought this as an investment, and Myrtle Grove waterfront properties bought it as an investment. Why am I not being treated exactly like that? Now, I'm not here saying to us, make us pay, $20 or $30 for tax, which is if you equate the amount of their 100 lots to our lots, you know, that's what it would be per lot or thereabout. So I'd be more than happy to do that. I don't think it's fair. I think the parish needs it and what have you. Another thing that I failed to tell you all is, of course, I'm sure you all are aware of the drainage system in the subdivision. It's got issues, and I think that every time they'll have a hurricane or you have high water, I know that some pieces of equipment have been running over our property. They've been putting big, huge sandbags on top of the drains.
No, we don't know that.
And what have you. Now, the other issue that's there, by the way, before I started cutting the grass there, the guy that I had cut the grass, his lawnmower fell down into the hole that is right there by our drain on the corner there. The second drain is starting to get a hole, and I've been putting grass stuff in there to try and fill the hole up. But now, when I'm running my big lawnmower there, a couple of times my rear wheel has gotten in there, but fortunately I haven't gotten hurt. But at some point, those things need to be addressed. And certainly, when someone, if they were looking to buy my property and they see that, they're not going to be impressed with that, I can assure you. And maybe that's why I haven't gotten any calls, other than this one guy that called the other day, and I did ask him to give me his name, and he was asking me, how much would we sell it for? I said, read the sign, make me an offer. So I don't know whether that was someone literally off the street, or whether or not that was someone making an anonymous call, which, you know, I think would be fair game to say, okay, how much do they think it's worth? I'm here publicly telling you we would sell them for $37,500 a piece, $150,000 in a minute. I would sell them, and we've been trying literally since Diana did it to sell this property. So, with that said, I appreciate your time. And
One final question. When is the figure that you gave us on those multiple lots valuation, when did you see that?
Wait, I'm sorry.
The comparable that you were talking about, the group development lots?
So when the
Yeah, how recent is that number?
Wait, I'm sorry.
How recent is that tax number that you say they are paying for all of those lots?
Okay, that is as of 2009. When that's as of 2009, when the sale occurred from Citrus Land to Myrtle Grove waterfront properties, Citrus Land was paying $30,000. That was in 2009 when they bought the transaction. That's in the sale there. If you look at the tax research certificate, the information I'm giving you that says they're paying $2,000 and change tax now is what's on the assessor's site. And I don't think I put a copy of the.
But that's today?
Today. I have a copy of it in my folder over here if you'd like, but I think I may have put a copy in there. I don't know if I did or not. I don't know if I did or not. I think I did, but if I didn't, I certainly have it, and I'm more than happy to share it with you right now. I have it in my folder over here.
I have it.
Is there the assessment?
I believe so. Second to last page, 2020, assessment listing. Yeah, $2,047.14.
Yes, sir, there it is.
All of these lots?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks, taxpayer tax, $2,047.14. I did not put mine there, but we pay roughly $1,500 a year tax. So Myrtle Grove waterfront properties is getting a pretty good deal, I think.
And this is the
But I wouldn't want to own all those lots because I'd have trouble selling them, and they paid $37,500 for each one of them. Yes, sir?
But this is the document.
I'm sorry, I can't see, but yes, I do see it here in the stuff I handed to you all. I just wanted you, I threw this together.
Sir, do you have anything to say about that?
I'd have to see the sale.
Well, not the sale. This is your 2020 tax bill.
I'm more than happy to-
Okay, it's assessed as commercial acreage, which, if I'm recalling correctly, that is about $30,000 an acre. I'm gonna have to look at this one.
Well, but it's listed as all these lots, all these legal lots. So, I mean,
is assessed as acreage, 3+ acres, and therefore significant less millage or who knows what. When they bought those lots, they were all developed, just like when my partner and I bought our lots. They were all developed.
I got it.
You could keep it.
Should we get any more comments? If not, I'd like to move on, accepting the 150,000.
Okay, any more comments? From the table? Audience?
At this time, I'd like to move to accept the $150,000 value assessment.
We have a motion on the floor to accept his appraisal at $150,000 by Mr. Roussel. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. Any one of y'all gentlemen over there, y'all have rebuttal? Y'all don't have any?
You want to speak on?
Yes.
You have an issue with your appraisal?
Suburban Gun and Rod Club.
Do you have an issue with your appraisal?
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay, all right, so we good. All right, is there anybody else?
Suburban Club.
Well, why you don't come to the mic?
You didn't tell him to come to the mic. You got all of them to come to the mic.
Gun club, man, don't get them too worked up.
That's right, you might have.
My name
Might
is
be
Ted
sleeping
Mayer.
all
I'm
night.
the previous president of Suburban Gun and Rod Club.
Please give us your name and your address, sir.
Ted Baer, 232 Lake Marina, New Orleans. And
Glenn Koch, 1816 Butternut Metairie.
gentlemen, I had sent each of you an email regarding the assessment of the Suburban Gun Rod Club. And along with that email, I sent a link to a YouTube video explaining this. So, and to date, I haven't seen that anybody's really looked at it, but it explains what our issue is. In 2015, the last assessment timeframe, 2016, our assessment went up substantially. We went to the assessor, we contested the assessment, and we were told that it would be taken care of, and nothing really happened. It went up substantially. The Suburban Gun and Rod Club is a 501c7 nonprofit. We've been down here for 113 years, and we're trying to stay down here with all that's going on hurricane-wise and whatnot. Basically, I've been to the assessor 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, providing additional information regarding our facilities. And what basically has happened is they've assessed the marina, which is, well, let me go back. In 65, in 1913, the club was built next to the levee. It was sustained there till 1965 when it was demolished by Betsy. After Betsy, the entire club was rebuilt and moved to its current location. Since Betsy, we built a marina with flat roofs. We had the clubhouse, and that was a facility. When Katrina hit, the entire club was demolished. We had a complete rebuild. The marina was rebuilt using 50-year-old pilings, and we had to cut the pilings down and put different roofing on it. The roofing was very shiny and whatnot, and from the view from the assessor's office, it looked like it was a really good facility. Well, since then, I've been back, we have roofs, we have a marina with 45 slips built on 50-year-old pilings with a 50-year-old bulkhead, and you've heard about the bulkheads, what the issues are with the continuing maintenance. And we're currently valued at $57,408. The parish has a marina, Beshel, at Beshel's. It's a hurricane-hardened facilities with 114 slips
They're renting for $65 a month, and we are 3 or 4 times the assessment. The assessment for Bechel's is $19,985, not Bechel's, but the parish marinas assessed at $19,985. Our marina is assessed at $57,408. Quite a difference. 3 times the capacity over here, hurricane hardened. We're on 50-year-old pilings on corrugated rusting roofs, but yet we're significantly higher. We're continuing to try and survive with all the fresh water and the lilies. Today, we went down there, you can't even get out of the canal because it's chock-a-block with lilies. We're just continuing, we hire locally, we bring commerce to the parish, we pay sales tax, we just want to be a fair value. From a fair market value, trying to look up prior sales, the last 3 years, there are virtually none. Every year, I've sent to the assessor, issues with the roofs, the construction, the issues. We have sheds that are in the back that were gated before Katrina. Now they are no roofs, a roof, siding, no floors. It's just covered parking essentially. And the clubhouse is very nice. From the one that was built in 1965, we built on the same slab. The only thing we added was a covered front porch. And in your document that you'll see in your handout, should be in your handout, what the values were, the assessments, and what we request from a fair market value. We'd like your consideration and support for these, which I believe are more than fair market value in our current conditions on the East Bank in this district. So I appreciate it. We're not going to take up a lot of your time.
Any questions from the table?
Did y'all receive the handouts or the emails that,
I don't have a copy that I'm looking for.
what was that sent to?
Ms. Hazel?
They were sent to the council clerk.
Oh.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Any of y'all got that? You got it?
I just watched the video I watched on email.
What is,
You need the handout?
Everything that we received from you, sir, has been emailed to all the council members, the parish president, and the assessor.
I don't have it.
what is the assessed value asking for? Excuse me, what is your assessed value asking for?
The value that we're asking for is 80,000. 1 second.
84.
84,591.
And what was the assessed value of the assessor?
124,533. That includes the marina, the land, which we have no problem with, clubhouse, and the parking area. Appreciate y'all's consideration.
He ain't getting out of here.
All right, thank you. I didn't realize you all don't have your slideshows with you, so I hope you can see these slides. We have been, Mr. Bear and the people at the Suburban Gun and Ride Club have been regulars every 4 years. They have come in to talk about their assessments. And let me get to theirs. This is, if you can see it, this isn't a picture of the overall property from our aerials taken this year. You can see the marina part in the back, and you can see Suburban Road, and you can see The development is on the upper side, or the top side of Suburban Road. And it's not there.
I don't see it.
So I just went and looked for a comp, and there's this other marina complex a little bit further up that has like 52 camps on it, and they're only paying $433.
The marina?
It's like a group of camps, slightly different, but kind of big chunk of marsh. That kind of, just up the road.
That helps?
To executive session, I'm okay with deferring it.
But did I go refill it?
Okay.
It's something that's moving through here.
I wasn't trying to be disrespectful earlier. It's just, it's almost like a legal proceeding, and we just gotta make sure that, that's all.
All right.
You didn't think I was
No.
trying to rush it.
No.
Good job, running with the schedule is to save time.
No, that's
Tomorrow.
not.
Tell John, hey. Tell John, go on and make that motion and we can kill that.
I gotta ask.
Oh, me. At the Suburban Club, they got rooms for us.
Calling all y'all, cause I'm gonna pick.
Oh, yeah, got room, plenty, though, nobody there.
If I email it
Talking
to
to me
you,
on?
would that work?
Dr. Gui?
While you're looking for that, maybe you can help me out. I'm looking at the assessments. It was, 2015 was $20,000, and then Suburban, from 2016 to 2019, it went up to 122, and then it went to 124. Why is the Parish Marina,
That's the other one.
is that comparable as far as property, the Parish Marina and the Suburban? Because of the Parish Marina's assessments, 19,000 or 20,000. It's different. It's apples and oranges? Okay, but it says $20,000 as an assessment. I don't know where that came from, Belinda. No. So Parish Marina, there is no assessment on the Parish Marina.
On our property, we pay.
So we can't compare those two.
Trying to do a income approach using that, but he's taking the average boat fees that are paid, the rental, what do you call it? The
Okay.
monthly
Slip fees.
slip fees. And so some of those people have senior freezes, some of those people are paying a lot more than the 58, but the 58's the average cost. I know someone that pays $163 a month, so that's not market rent. You cannot do a market value appraisal, trying to come up with market value and use an income approach and not use market rent. So that's
Okay,
flawed.
so forget the marina then. So, was the assessment of, this was the last 4 years, the assessment was 122. Was that contested?
4 years ago, he didn't appeal it formally, but he talked to us about it, yes.
Never went to the state?
No.
None of that? Okay. I'm good.
This year, what happened, can you see now? That's a view of the entire property. Let me get this. This is a view of the clubhouse from the front. The clubhouse is the only thing that changed in this appraisal since 4 years ago. It went up by 5%. The overall value went up by 1.9%. The marsh wasn't changed, of course. The land value wasn't changed. The marina part of the value wasn't changed. The other sheds were not changed. Only the clubhouse, and that was changed because we refined our Marshall and Swift cost and our Marshall and Swift building classes, and so he was on there as a lodge, which he is.
Makes me be able to sit here another hour.
This is the opposite side, the back side of the clubhouse. Everybody can see. This is showing the sheds. There are 2 blocks of sheds. You can see we're facing the ones that are at the lower end of the property right now. You can see Suburban Gunning Rod Club. This shows the other sheds. Those are behind the clubhouse. You can see those three little buildings in there with 4 doors on each. I don't know if those are. Okay, so those are not on the roll. That's the marina section right there. And you can see also storage units in front of each of those, which I don't know if those are permanent structures or, okay, and they're not on the roll. This is a view of, if you can see Suburban Road, you can see that the property that's owned by Suburban Gun and Ride Club extends all the way back to the river. So there's a large wooded area behind the actual improvements and that is not developed. And the entire other side of Suburban Road is comprised of 12 different lots, and those lots have sold anywhere in the more recent years from $12,000 a lot to $16,000 a lot. And you've got 700 feet of suburban road frontage here where lots could be developed. That, in my mind, makes the land worth more because you are fronting on a street that's already there and have the opportunity to subdivide and develop those. I've got them listed right there. And I don't have my glasses on, but those sales were in the 2000s, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From 2000 and, I can't read my own. 2000 and, there's 7, yeah, and right. Well, that's the list of ones that have sold. This is a view showing the canal. The canal has value as well. That property is valued as marsh. This is a property on Happy Jack side. It's very similar to the Suburban Gun and Ride Club. Of course, except it's on the West Bank where the fishing is better. But there's 10 boat slips that were on the Happy Jack Investments property. Excuse me. 10 boat slips on the Happy Jack property. 45 boat slips at Suburban Gun and Ride Club. Each boat slip at Happy Jack is 568 square feet. The ones on Suburban are 577, so very similar. 53 acres of ground, of marsh for Happy Jack sale, and 50.84, I'm having a hard time reading the fine print, of marsh on the Suburban Gun and Ride Club. So these properties are very, very similar. The Happy Jack one recently was acquired for $300,000. So with its 10 slips, so that more than justifies the value for the Suburban Gun and Ride Club. You do, yes.
You gotta come to the mic, sir. Sir.
Excuse me, you got to come to the mic, please.
If we would need to multiply it by 4.5 times to get up to the 45 boat slips. And we're showing you the difference, and we're saying that it would be less, but this was $300,000 for the same amount of marsh for a canal, and for 10 boat slips, you have marsh and a canal and 45 boat slips. And so we feel like our value is well within reason.
Getting hot in here.
You said the ACs went off.
Went off. Can y'all turn them back on?
I'm sorry, but I have a little trouble comparing a marina on the west bank to the marina on the east bank. It's like asking if this marina were next to the Superdome, would it be comparable? No. I think that the comparison, and when you look at the appraised value again of the Point LaHash Marina, and I'm not sure why it's on the website, it's appraised, it just has an exemption, but it's appraised at $19,985. It is 114 slips, hurricane hardened with concrete pilings. We've got 50-year-old pilings that we had to cut down to just be able to put the marina back. With respect to what the assessor said, rents at the Parlahash Marina cannot be compared to anything else because they're high and they're low. Well, I have some statistics that came up with an average of $65 of actual revenue from the parish, that the parish received, combining all of the slips with about an 80% occupancy. So I think in lieu of us trying to just stay alive, we feel that our requested fair market value is a fair market value. It's gone up significantly from what we have, and we believe that it is a fair market value of what somebody would pay. Number one, the marina is not insurable. You couldn't finance it because you can't insure it. It's subject to high water. Our canal is currently filled with lilies, and it's not navigable now. And so all these expenses would lead someone to believe, if an investor, from a fair market value, what they would actually pay. Would you pay these type assessments of what the value is based on sticks in the ground from 1965 with corrugated roofing that's currently got a few holes in it? But I appreciate your time and effort. I'm not going to take any longer, and I hope you all evaluate it and provide support. We ask for your support. It's fair. We believe it's fair market value. Thank you.
Mr. Black?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The thing that did catch my eye is when you gentlemen sent the email, and I'm still unclear. I know, Ms. Hazel, you tried to explain it to Mr. Gooey, but so they did show some bit of evidence for the value of the parish marina at Bushels. I mean, what? I'm not understanding what's the.
They were trying to use an income approach, and so they used the parish marina to get the monthly rents to use to apply to, if you were to value the Suburban Gun and Ride Club.
Well, we all know the parish isn't doing that well. Sorry, John Helmus, on the income there on the marina, but.
Rents.
Actually, that's a good.
What I'm saying is that is not a market rent.
So, I mean, but if you take out the market approach and just use apples to apples, the property itself, if they have, you guys have 40, you said, 45? And the parish has 114 slips, I mean, why couldn't you just compare it with that?
There's a concrete, ours are failing. We can barely keep up with that.
We can compare, we can use a market rent. So what is I know somebody says they pay $163 a month in the marina. Is that the market?
Where?
I mean, it's not.
We've been trying to find out.
Parlahash
Yeah,
Marina?
it's not
That's for a while.
58.
Who paid $160 Parlahash Marina?
Normally you don't compare publicly owned properties to anything to come up with value.
Thanks,
Mr. Bartholomew, you got a recommendation?
The
Yeah, let her
increase in
finish.
this year for the Suburban Gun and Ride Club was 1.9%. And it's because of the difference in, that we did, the adjustments that we made to the Marshall and Swift cost data, incorporating those, which are used by the tax commission. Nothing else changed on this assessment. 4 years, and 16, yes. Yes, that's when it increased tremendously because we added structures. We didn't have everything on there.
Well, I do know no, I don't have to see. I see every day. I live there. But I do know you have issues, significant issues, because it's not economically feasible anymore. With the invasion of the lilies and the last couple of hurricanes we had, really has impeded your ability economically.
This picture was taken this year.
I'm just speaking about, I'm talking about the structure part. I'm talking about the economic impact.
I was looking for the lilies.
Oh, okay. They're there. Trust me, they're there.
Lily's moving overnight.
I've seen them. You've sent the same pictures that you
They're
used
there.
4 years ago. There are lilies today.
today.
Can we move on, Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, I'd like to make up with, 90,000.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Bartholomew
90.
at $90,000 for the appraisal. There's a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Black. Any question from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. Thank you. Is there anybody else want to discuss the appraisal? Then we'll take the rest in global. That will be item 41, 42, 45, 46,
47.
and 47.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Bartholomew, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any questions from the table?
I would think
Audience, this is to uphold the assessor appraisal. To
Hold it.
uphold it, the assessor appraisal. Any questions from the table? Audience, machines are open. And the measure passes 8-4, 1 abstention. We'll move to item 7A. We'll take them all in global. Construction, all in global.
7A1, Eustace Engineering LLC, application number 2019-154, dated February 28, 2019. Drill 5 soil borings for proposed heavy lifts, 15551 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 2, Woodland Borrow Pits LLC, sand pit, application number 2020-578, dated August 5th, 2020. Install a temporary dredge pipeline and pump discharge line across the Mississippi River levee, 22441 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 3, Time Energy LLC, application number 2020-589, dated August 7, 2020. Plug and abandon 4 wells, remove 4 3-inch flow lines and all other structures, Cox Bay Field, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 4, Connecticut Partners LLC, application number 2019-188, dated March 12, 2019. Remove existing platform, West Bastion Bay, Councilmember Blink. Number 5, Colonial Pipeline Company, application number 2020-515, dated July 15, 2020. Conduct 2 anomaly repairs along the existing 20-inch line 7 pipeline, Delacroix area, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 6, Hellas Oil and Gas Company LLC, application number 2020-632, dated September 2, 2020. Removal and replacement of pilings and channel marker associated with LS 195QQ well number 100, East Black Bay Field, Councilmember Bartholomew. Turn Services, application number 2020-633, dated September 3rd, 2020. Install 2 new barge monopiles, Myrtle Grove area, Councilmember LaFrance. Are we doing 8?
Might hold the vote till 10. We gotta be out of here.
Number 8, Phillips 66 Alliance Refinery, application number 2020-518, dated July 15, 2020. Excavate and install 3 private maintained sewer tanks and associated line connections at 2 locations in the plant to serve 2 existing blast-resistant modules. 15551 LA 23, Belle Chase, Councilmember LaFrance. And number 9, Phillips 66 Alliance Refinery, application number 2020-585, dated August 7, 2020. Install 113 pilings to support timber and steel crane mat, Alliance Refinery, Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions from the table? Audience, machines are open. And the measure passes 7-4, 2 abstention. I would like to move to item 9B.
I second that.
9B, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Section 2-17, Rules for Transaction of Business Before the Council, Chapter 1, Meetings of the Plaquemines Parish Council, Rule 1, to annul, rescind, and set aside ordinance number 19-158 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Roussel. And that is to start the meeting at 3 o'clock. And October the 8th, it starts. Any questions from the table?
Can we add an end time?
Sir?
Can we insert an end time as well?
Audience? I don't care.
Wyona Kirkland, 104 Sarah Drive. When you're saying start at 3 o'clock, is that the port?
That is the port.
3 o'clock?
Yes.
And normally y'all stay with the port for how long?
Sometime the porter lasts anywhere from a half an hour to 2 hours.
Because I'm thinking that most people don't get off from work till 5, 4:30 at the most.
Let me address
So-
that. This item here is on the council agenda, and this is for the council to start at 3, but it will follow the port, which we adopted in the port meeting, which starts at 3. And as you saw tonight, it went for 2 hours, so we might not start till
So
5. It's
that-
3 or immediately after the port.
So the regular meeting will start, it's always after the port's meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so today we passed it in the port meeting for 3 o'clock to start the port meeting. Now we're passing it at the council to start at 3 o'clock.
Okay, because it just makes, if
Right,
it's going to make it difficult for some people to get here at 3 o'clock.
right. We're looking at how the people in the audience, how difficult it is to be here at 10 o'clock too. That's why we're trying to adjust the schedule a little bit.
Jock, I see you rubbing your eyes out there.
Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. Let's see.
Do you prevail occasionally? Sanity prevails occasionally.
The item with the funding, the millage? 9A3? Okay, we move to item 9A3.
An ordinance to levy millages for the 2020 tax roll on all properties subject to taxation by Plaquemines Parish government and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
So offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Is there any questions from the table? From the audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. I would like to go to executive session. Item A is deferred. We'll move to item B.
Frederick Julian Schwartz et al. Versus Golden Ranch Aviation et al., case number 62-198, 25th JDC Division B, Attorney Jacques Toussaint and William Culver, Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Konovich. To go into the executive session, machines are open.
I gotta go.
And the measure passes 9-0. We'll go into executive session at
And what? 9:30.
9:28.
9:20.
9:28. Dr. Gouy?
Yes, sir. If we could move to suspend the rules, I'll have Ms. Kim read the preamble.
We have a motion by Dr. Gouy to suspend the rules.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blank.
Let her read it, yeah.
A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to settle and compromise the case of Frederick Julian Swartz et al. Versus Golden Ranch Aviation et al., 62-198, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
We have a motion by Dr. Gui, seconded by Mr. Blank.
For suspension.
For the suspension. Machines are open. The measure passes 9-0.
Chairman, I'd like to move on the resolution.
We have a motion by Dr. Gui, seconded by Mr. Blank.
I need to read it first.
Please.
A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to settle and compromise the case of Frederick Julian Schwartz et al. Versus Golden Ranch Aviation et al., 62-198, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you. Dr. Gui, seconded by Mr. Blank. Any questions from the table? Audience, machines are open.
People.
$15,000. You didn't ask.
An ordinance is being introduced for 15,000. The ordinance appropriating the funds is different than the authority to compromise and settle.
Thank you. Machines are open.
Gotta be solid.
You vote?
No, Josie, you were right. Go back.
Councilmember Gui.
All right.
Normally I could, it's.
All right.
And the measure passes 9-0.
Need to move to introductions.
9R.
We'll go to 9R, please.
Sir, just a minute. You have to wait a minute. 9R, a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and Plaquemines Parish Government to accomplish the goals set forth in this resolution and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
We have a motion by,
With change.
okay, offer with changes.
On line 30, Fort Jackson
I
Harbor,
went straight to Board of Review.
behind channel.
Okay. We have a motion by, with changes, Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Blank. Any questions from the table? Audience, machines are open.
Which,
Mr. Blank,
sorry, can we please go to 9A4 when you get a chance?
and the measure passes 9-0. What you want to go to, Mr. Blank?
9A4 if able, when you get a chance.
9A4.
You don't get it changed.
You ain't get much change.
I'd like to offer as read.
Just a moment.
Gotta read it.
Yep, sure, please.
ready
Thank
yet.
you, Bob.
I'm not that fast. An ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference and which is parish thereto, with reference to application number 2020-441, dated June 8th, 2020, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
You could offer it.
We have a motion by Mr. Blank, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any questions from the table?
None here. Any,
Audience,
I'd like to offer as a substitution. Say,
What is the stuff to pass out?
no. Down the anything on it, it's a pretty straightforward.
yeah. Any questions?
My name is Randall McCann. We're just trying to change the map so we can actually ask for a trailer park permit for a piece of rural property that we already have 2 trailers on. is it's for us to house our workers when we're doing some construction down at Polytown.
Thank you. Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. We'll go to approval of the minutes.
Robert wanted to say something?
Offer.
Second.
Approval of the minutes from the August 13, 2020, and September 10, 2020 regular meetings, and the September 2, 2020 special meeting.
Offer.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Albro, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. Mr. Albro?
I pressed it, sorry.
And the measure passes 9-0. We'll have adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
We haven't done
We
introduction.
did introduction.
We have not done introduction.
Okay, well, let's go to item 8.
God, yeah.
Down.
Okay, our first introductions are for Councilmember Bartholomew. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Reach C Culvert Phoenix to Bohemia project, and the Levy Lift WBV-9A project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to have the Belle Chase Ferry run 30 minutes after the end of all Belle Chase council meetings, and the Point Lahash Ferry run 30 minutes at the end of all Point Lahash council meetings, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I agree with that.
For Councilmember
I
Arborough,
agree with that.
an ordinance to amend and as amended re-adopt Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Section 2-17, Rules for Transaction of Business Before Council, Chapter 2, Rule 19A, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Gooey, an ordinance to amend the 2020 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, General Fund Coastal Zone Management Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Roussel, an ordinance authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to include a right to audit clause in all parish contracts, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 2020 general fund operating expenditure budget, legal judgments department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution establishing the dates, times, and places of public hearings on the proposed 2021 operating budget and on the proposed capital improvements budget, covering a period of at least 5 years as submitted by the parish president, to authorize the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette pursuant to Section 7.02A and Section 7.05C of the Charter for local self-government, parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to cancel the November 26, 2020 and December 24, 2020 regularly scheduled council meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution appointing a replacement member to the Plaquemines Parish Government Civil Service Commission for the position left vacant by Mary Fay Langyon, whose term will expire on December 31st, 2022, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I know you used to that kind
The follow, an ordinance approved, this is for Councilmember Blink. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of property of Tract 1, Mrs. Jenny Jordan et al. In Leonard Jordan Division, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots of 1A, 1B, and 1C, and the dedication of a 5-foot utility servitude, Naomi, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated July 15, 2020, though not having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost of Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Konovich, a resolution electing the chairperson of the Plaquemines Parish Council for the year 2021, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A A resolution electing the vice chairperson of the Plaquemines Parish Council for the year 2021 and otherwise to be filed with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the introductions.
Thank you. Can we move to item P, please?
I'm sorry.
9P. Air condition for the YMCA.
An ordinance to amend the five-year capital improvements plan, air conditioner replacement, Port Silver Civic Center building, and otherwise to be filed with respect thereto.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Conovich. Any questions from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Mr. Blink, seconded by Mr. Conovich. Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. We'll have adjournment at 9:46.